my experience, companies that come into vision but don't understand vision struggle.
Welcome to a new episode of our inVISION podcast, 5 Questions To. Our topics are image processing, machine and embedded vision, AI and metrology. My name is Peter Ebert, Editor-in-Chief of inVISION, and I'm happy to have you here for a new episode. Hello and welcome to our inVISION podcast. Our guest today is Mark Williamson, whom many of you know for a long time. Mark has been working in the machine vision industry for over 30 years, spending 15 years at Stemmer Imaging. He was also a member of the VDMA Machine Vision Board, including 3 years as chairman of the board. Today we will talk about his new job, the economic situation of the European machine vision industry, and actual business trends. So, hello Mark, thank you for being our guest today.
Peter, good to be here.
Yes, thanks. Let's start with the first question. What have you been doing since leaving Stemmer Imaging, and what are your new responsibilities at Vision Markets?
Okay, yeah. So last year was my 60th birthday, so I certainly did a lot of traveling. I think I did more traveling last year on holidays in many places, which was absolutely fantastic. But I suddenly realized it made it very clear that I need to be active and I need to be brain stimulated and things. So I actually did a lot of learning, a lot of self-development. I had an investment business that I'm using, so I did a lot of training, learning about that. Obviously, thought, would I retire? Would I stay in the industry? And then talking with Ron, it was an idea that I have a lot of skills, a lot of history of how vision companies work, and I can help other companies do that. So, I didn't want to create my own brand of consultancy, so I teamed up with Ron and Vision Markets, and we'll be working on both helping on M&A stuff, on due diligence, and really looking into companies of how they're working, but also providing more of an operational consultancy. Already they provide recruitment, statistical information, market information, M&A, and marketing, and I will add more strategy, go-to-market strategy, product strategy, be able to go and do audits in companies and advise how they can grow their business.
As you talked about your expertise, how do you assess the current economic situation in European machine vision? And can we finally expect an upturn soon?
Everyone's been saying this, I think, for the last 2 years, that it's going to be coming back. I think the two big things that have kept things suppressed, in my opinion, is one, a lot of people stockpiled equipment because of the chip shortage. And that, coupled with relatively high interest rates and global concerns and uncertainty, a lot of the capital equipment companies weren't investing, which slowed things down. Certainly the customers I was talking to, that they had, their pipeline was still strong, but the customers weren't signing on the line to take this equipment. The feeling I'm getting, one, I think the pipeline, the backlog of materials has gone now. I think it's getting very back to normal, which obviously starts to bring business back in. And I think there's a sense of, with interest rates and everything, and I would say this is what my position was before the tariffs came in. So the last 2 years when I was in the VDMA, it was, we're going to get an upturn at the end of the year, or it's going to slip, it's slipping. So it's been slipping. It hasn't been getting worse, but it's been slipping right. However, now I really do think we are seeing an upturn, and I talk to many people, and they're all saying, yes, people are now wanting to commit. They're wanting to get these projects underway. And that's even despite the tariff confusion that's happened in the last couple of months. I think we will see this year maybe very small growth, flat or small, but definitely the pipeline and the activity is growing. People are engaging again.
Glad to hear a positive reaction. What do you consider the most important business trend for the vision tech sector this year?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I think things in the machine vision industry don't change as quickly as people think. So we have a hot topic that's there, and it doesn't suddenly become big overnight. It's a slow burn and grows. So if we look back, 3D was a hot topic for a long time. 3D is still gaining traction. It's still growing, and it's now a mainstream. But for many years, it wasn't so much that. AI, I think, is we've been talking about AI for a number of years. That's developing really, really quite nicely. When I say AI, I'm focusing more on the deep learning side. We are seeing anomaly detection. Obviously, it's been out a couple of years, but it's actually beginning to be used. Self-learning systems. And I think that can be a real game changer because the expertise of programming and teaching becomes less important. The other big thing, which is, I would say, right at the embryonic stage, is using AI for creating synthetic images. One of the challenges you have when you're teaching vision systems is actually having enough defective parts to train on. And if you can use AI to say, okay, these are the 5 defective parts I've got, but they could be 20% smaller and it's still a defect. But if it's 30% smaller, it's a pass, and all of these sorts of things. You can start to create good data sets. And there's a few startup companies that are coming in doing that and actually being able to simulate the vision system up front. So I see that it's not going to be big business this year, but I think that's a trend that is going to grow in the next few years.
Thanks. What are the important technical trends?
But perhaps I actually covered that one a little bit, really. So actually, I would say what I just said there was probably more technical on the product. On the business side, if I reverse it, maybe we do that. The business trends is, if you look over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a lot of acquisitions. The industry is still quite small, in my opinion. It operates in a very small way, but we will see further mergers and acquisitions. The bigger companies are now beginning to see vision as a interesting target to come in, and that's going to be the challenge, because my experience, companies that come into vision but don't understand vision struggle. There's a very few that actually succeed, and that's the same within a company. If you bring a non-vision manager into a company, it takes them a long time to actually learn the dynamics of the industry. We are quite a unique industry, and I think that's going to continue happening. And I think mergers, acquisitions will continue.
Mark, as you mentioned, new players on the market. How do European machine vision manufacturers need to position themselves to ensure continued success in the future and to be strong to new foreign machine vision companies coming here to the European market at the moment?
Yeah, if we look at risks, I do see this as a pretty big risk. I think I read in an article that there are more graduates in China than there are people being born in the US. So that gives you, and I don't know what the graduate ratio is, 20%, 10%. I'm not sure, but it's a big difference. To say that China, they're a copy culture, their products are low quality. That I don't think that is the case. I think that was the case. Things change, and there is a lot of innovation coming from there. If you look at battery inspection systems and things like that, that they are the leader. So we have to work. We have to be very smart. So obviously we have to clearly innovate. The thing I believe the Chinese sometimes don't do well is that customer relation, that their service might be good, but it's very transactional service and it's push, 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 push. I believe we still do business people to people and with good trust, and companies that provide good trust, stable relationships with their customers, look after their customers, those businesses will continue to thrive. Yes, we need to be competitive. Yes, we need to innovate. But the real cost, yes, if a camera is being sold cheaper from a Chinese brand, yes, we have to compete. But I do believe we can charge a higher price because of our closeness and the cultures that are closer to. So you have to be the best in your game, and you have to really look after your customers. And I think if you do that, yes, China is going to be a threat, but I think it's not a race to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Now I've got a question regarding your past. You worked for a large international vision distributor for many years. How do you assess the future prospects for this distribution model? Does it still have a future?
I actually think it still remains actually a very strong opportunity for companies, and there is a lot of change. We have manufacturers like Basler that want to become a one-stop shop. They are developing their software, they are badging lenses, they're badging lights and stuff like that to try to be a stemmer. We use the word distributor. Stemmer was a lot more than a distributor. A lot of the time we were doing some of the system design work at the beginning, which is the right lens, which is the right camera, what software is the right software. You need a cable to go, and it needs to be high flex and all of this sort of stuff. And the company manufacturers that want to try to do that with their own brand, it's very difficult to have the breadth of product to do that. And most of the customers that use machine vision are middle-sized companies, and they don't necessarily have a massive, great engineering team that can do all this themselves. So there is a place in the market for a company that provides consultancy in the design phase, can even write some software. We've even seen direct customers of camera companies coming to us to say, this customer wants to have the lens focused, cleaned and focused in a clean room, calibrated, all of these things, and Stemmer could do that. So there were actually opportunities where direct sales came through. So 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it was exclusive distribution. I think that exclusivity is going away. I'm seeing manufacturers have direct sales channels. I see manufacturers having multiple channels, mainly because of this merger acquisition kind of stuff. So you suddenly have two distributors. One had brand A, one had brand B, and now those brands are becoming C. And it's not a case of choosing one over the other. Is it okay? You need to have good, fair structures in place, and business will work, and it will be the best company that wins. But when I say distributed, these companies that succeed have to be adding value. Just box shifting distribution, no, that's gone. And I don't think the direct company, the camera companies want to sell direct, really, because you think about it. A company wants to buy a vision system. He has to choose the lens. He has to choose the camera. He has to choose the cable. He has to choose the processing engine, the software, and it's far better if you get it delivered pre-configured than have to build that all together. There are big companies, of course, that if they are building hundreds and hundreds of units a year of their machine that's got vision integrated, yes, they will go and buy all these different lenses and sample them and work out which is the best one. But Stemmer do that anyway. So you use the power of the distributor. I do use the word Stemmer there, but use the power of the distributor. And we are seeing, but the other thing we're seeing is obviously some distributors that stick just in one country. I think that's getting tough. When I moved my company and joined Stemma, I was a one country business doing very well. It was still the largest in the UK. We came in with Stemma, and because of the bigger infrastructure, we accelerated growth. So we're seeing that happening. There are a couple of distributors now that are trying to emulate what Stemma did, and they're doing well. And that demonstrates to me that there's still very much a market. A company that wants to go direct and not use distribution, I think, is on a dangerous trajectory if they want to serve the wider market. If they want to focus on the big customers and that's it, then that's fine.
Mark, it's great that you're back, and I'm happy that we have talked today, and I'm quite sure we will also talk a lot in the future.
Thank you. Absolutely. I as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about this industry. I have been in it since 1989, and when I stepped away from Stemma, it was, I have passion for this industry, and let's hope the industry will continue to grow and keep having its 12% growth on average every year. And I think we will get back to that very soon.
I think so. Okay, Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
If you would like to find out more about inVISION, please register for our inVISION newsletter at invision-news.de/news, become a follower of our LinkedIn channel, inVISION News, or find out about our webinars at invision-news.com/Tech Talks. I look forward to welcoming you to our next episode of our inVISION podcast, 5 Questions Too.